Hello, welcome back to The Road to Episode 8, my ongoing series where I chart the road to the release of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi on December 15th, 2017. And in this video I will be talking about the potential first words of Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. So if you don't want to hear even a potential kind of answer to that question, then turn the video off now and I'll see you in the next one. I totally don't mind at all. And I almost wish I didn't know, but then not all is as it seems either. So there was some kind of press event a couple of weeks ago where people were shown some clips from The Last Jedi, and someone tweeted about them, and I assume that they were allowed to because those tweets were up for quite a while. They probably still are up, but I mean, I was reading them for days afterwards, and I wanted to make a video straight away to talk about Luke Skywalker's first words in The Last Jedi. It was big news, but I thought, Joe, I'm going to wait and see what else comes out. You know, can we trust this one person on Twitter? And he later clarified. So here we go. You've had your warning now. You're getting a double warning. Luke's first words in The Last Jedi, as Rey reaches out the lightsaber to him, are, "Who are you?" And my whole world came crumbling down when I read that. But I waited, and a few days later it was clarified that that wasn't the scene where Luke says, "Who are you?" He hadn't specified exactly where this scene takes place. So he specified that it's a scene with Luke and someone else, maybe Rey, I think, in a hut. And that's where he says, "Who are you?" So people have been talking about this. What does this mean? Does it mean that in The Last Jedi she holds out the lightsaber and Luke walks off and goes and sits in a hut and Rey follows him and he goes, "Who are you?" You know, that would be quite anticlimactic, wouldn't it? Or maybe he's seeing someone, or maybe there's someone else in the hut with him and Rey. Who knows? It doesn't really mean anything in concrete proof just yet because we don't really know the context. But you know, what if that was the first word that Luke says, or first words in Episode 8? "Who are you?" It would destroy everything for me. It would cut out all of the emotion of the ending of the film. If Luke is standing there looking at this girl who he has no idea who she is and says, "Who are you?" I mean, it's like a fart in church, right? It would ruin The Force Awakens. It would maybe ruin Episode 8 for me because, I mean, one, it would mean that she is definitely not his daughter. I mean, there's no way he wouldn't be able to sense it, at least. If he didn't recognize her, he'd surely sense it if she was stood 10 feet in front of him that it's his daughter, right? And again, I'm one of the Rey's Luke's daughter kind of theorists, I suppose. I've made the video where I talked about 25 reasons why I think it was. So you can go back and check that out. I'll link it at the end of this video, in fact. I mean, you know, the story doesn't fall apart if she isn't his daughter, but if she isn't connected to him in any way, I mean, it really, really dampens things if that's the case, if he says, "Who are you?" So I'm really kind of worried about that potential, because to me, when she steps onto that kind of expanse, looking out over the sea, and there he is, and he turns around and he looks mad at her, and his eyes start to well up with emotion, and her eyes start to well up with emotion. It's like, this isn't two strangers looking at each other. This isn't just a girl looking at this mythical Luke Skywalker person that she's heard about in passing, you know, growing up. And this isn't some man just looking at a random girl who's brought him his old lightsaber. You know, there is a connection between them in that scene. I love that scene so much. And the emotion on his face just doesn't tie in with a, "Well, who are you?" You know? It just undercuts everything to me. So hopefully, you know, it's more of a, I mean, if he is saying it's a Rey, maybe it's saying, "Who are you?" Like, maybe he's confused, maybe he's gone crazy, maybe he has these lapses where in that moment where Rey steps out and he sees her, he sees his daughter and it all comes flooding back to him, and then he loses it again, you know, and his mind gets clouded. Maybe in his kind of seclusion he's used the Force to kind of block out the outside world. He doesn't feel anything, right? I mean, there's so many ways you could look into it. Maybe he looked emotional at the end because he was thinking about Han's death. Maybe he doesn't know yet. Maybe, again, he's blocked himself off and he doesn't know. And, you know, you can say, well, you know, would he really sense that it was his daughter? Would he really sense a connection, you know, just looking at her? And it's like, well, look at Leia. Look at Leia. She felt the death of her former partner, Han Solo, across the galaxy, right? It hit her in the chest. It leveled her, right? And Luke is far more powerful than Leia is in that sense. I mean, we can tell that she hasn't really taken her affinity with the Force into a further step because she remained a general. So clearly Luke is the kind of more powerful of the two. Surely he would feel, you know, that his daughter was involved. Surely he would feel, you know, that some connection to her. Maybe, again, there's a whole litany of reasons you could say that she's connected to Luke, including that she's maybe Leia's kid. I don't buy that whatsoever, and I've talked about it before, but for the sake of talking about it more, I guess, you know, that hug at the end between Leia and Rey, that's not a hug between a daughter and a mother being reunited after so many years. But it still has a kind of familial feel to it. You know, it's more than just, you know, a woman comforting a young girl. There's a feeling there again that I feel Leia would sense. And if she is Luke's daughter, Leia would definitely be able to feel that, even if she didn't know about it previously. And that hug is very telling, I think. Not a lot of people talk about it, you know. Not a lot of people think about the fact that Leia and Rey had never met up until that point, at least in the film. And that hug is very wordless. It's just that it feels like they just know, you know. And my kind of feeling is that Rey knows as well, and so that there's this wordless understanding that makes the ending of Episode 7 so powerful to me. So for it to all come down to, well, who are you? Don't know about that. I don't know about that. There was other things described about what they saw in the Episode 8 footage. Nothing that kind of jumped out to me. There's a few things I've seen. I've kind of gone, well, we'll see. You know, I'm not kind of delving into it too much. I'm really waiting for this trailer in April. And one more thing I want to talk about, which I don't know if I talked about before. Again, I've done hundreds of these videos at this point. But someone brought up a really good idea recently. What if Episode 8 had no trailers? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What if there was just nothing? Nothing until December. I mean, it's one of the most anticipated films of all time, surely, because you have Episode 7 as one of the biggest money makers in movie history, and we now have the eagerly anticipated follow-up. And it's where, I mean, the hype is never going to be as big as Episode 7 was, because that was a return to Star Wars. That was a return to the world of Return of the Jedi. It was the first Star Wars sequel in 30 years, right? So that was huge, and I feel we'll never get to that level of excitement and anticipation again, because we didn't know what to expect. Now we know these new characters. Now we know Kylo and Rey and Finn and Poe, and Luke is back in the fold, Leia's back in the fold. We know all of these things, and so that there's even more investment, I think. So the excitement of the unknown isn't there, but the excitement of the continuation of the story is there, and I feel like it's going to be a huge movie, and a lot of people are looking forward to it very much. But imagine if there was no trailers and they just showed nothing. I mean, there's no way they could get away with it, especially being Disney, but I think it would be a really interesting experiment. I mean, of course, we can all emulate that if we just don't watch any footage. We can just avoid all the trailers and we'll get that experience, but it'd be funny if they just throw that at us and just said, no, you're not going to see anything until December. And it would be awesome. It'd be like everything we'd be seeing it for the first time. None of the money shots would be spoiled. None of the plot would be spoiled, unless you kind of read about it online, I guess. I just want to talk about that because I thought it was a really interesting idea that will never happen with a big movie like this, or probably any movie ever. But I think it would be a cool concept, you know, and I'd kind of be on board for it, I think. I'm definitely not one who's kind of getting anticipation, getting what's the word? Getting impatient with the fact that we don't have a trailer yet. I know CP, you know, name drop, take a shot. He's dying for the trailer, you know, and a lot of people are. They just give me the trailer, give me the trailer. We had a trailer for The Force Awakens at 14 months out, and I don't really mind, you know, because we're still quite a far way off from December, so I'm still happy to wait. And also one final thing, I mentioned in the last video that Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, was talking about Star Wars recently in the past week, and he confirmed that as far as Carrie Fisher goes, Princess Leia goes, or General Leia, in Episode 8 The Last Jedi, he said that we're not changing anything. You know, we're leaving her performance as it is in that film, and so that hints that they will deal with her passing in Episode 9 in some way, shape or form, and I think that's probably the best way to go about it. I don't think you need to start cutting things out or adding things even, which would probably be even worse. And I'm happy to hear that they're just going to leave it as it is and have that story be told the way that it was supposed to. And again, it'll be for the filmmakers to decide how to move forward with her character in Episode 9 and what they do with that, how they write her out of the series. And I think that it would feel like it would be in poor taste if they were to kill her character off in the film because Carrie Fisher passed away in real life. I mean, we don't know. She could actually die in the movie. That's a possibility. In which case they wouldn't have to deal with that issue in Episode 9. But it would be terrible if they killed her character off because of the real life events, I think. So it's nice to hear, and again, they already released a statement saying we're not going to digitally do anything, which it seemed ridiculous that they needed to make that statement so soon after her passing. But people were talking about it so much. But yeah, that's another good thing I think about Episode 8, is that we'll get to see her final performance on screen as it was shot and intended, and I think that's an important thing to keep true in the film, and to kind of you know, present to the world as it should be, I think. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in the next one.